Cheryl.
Hello. How are you?
Okay, thanks. How are you?
Good. Are you still in the hospital?
Yeah, I'm still on the mend.
Oh, is it better though?
Yeah, I think it's getting better. Yesterday I had a really great day. Today I came a little bit slower. So we just think it's the virus taking its time. So,
Okay, good. Um, but you're up to taking class?
yeah, which I think I need to just put a bit of coaching hat on and yeah, I look forward to that.
Okay. Uh, not sure where Christine is, but let's check. She put me a message.
Oh, I sent her a WhatsApp and she hasn't read it though.
I'm sorry?
I said I sent her a WhatsApp, but I see she hasn't read it as
Oh,
yet. Hmm.
there she goes.
Ah,
Hello.
Hello. I'm sorry I'm late.
Okay. What's wrong? Is your voice gone?
No, I'm just really
Oh,
stressed. I'm just been in meetings since like hours now, and I'm in back-to-back meetings all day. It's just a really busy day. Do you mind if I eat something while we're doing this class? I'm starving. Thank you. I haven't eaten yet today. Okay.
yeah. Um, all right. So what I'm gonna do is what am I gonna do? Let's see. Yeah, so that would be so I think we're gonna do our mentor coaching today, the group, the second one that we were supposed to do last week. And let me see how that's gonna change the schedule. So we'll have so that one to this, and then this will all move down a week. And so that means that Holly will come in on active listening.
I have a
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
That EQ thing, the test,
Hmm.
how would someone be able to just take that test and pay for it on their own? Is that possible?
You would pay me to do it,
Oh,
or they would pay me to do it. Yep.
oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
do. I do. Uh, I don't have to do a package, but that's what I do is I have a package where they take the assessment and then we have 3 coaching sessions around it.
What if someone just wants to take the assessment?
Yeah, so I would just charge them for the assessment.
And how much is that?
Um, I have to check, but it's somewhere around 100.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay.
Yeah, because I buy credits and then, every time I do one, they take the credit out.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay. So we're going to do the mentor coaching today, which means that one of you has to coach.
Okay.
So, who wants to coach?
Okay, I'm freezing. Yeah, no, I can try. I can do, I think. I did explain to the staff that I'm in class, and if they come in and I show them I can't talk now, hopefully they have patience with me, um, and leave me for 40 minutes. I can't,
Yeah,
I can't promise anything.
Do
that's
we
fine.
remember who coached last time?
That's a good
No,
question. Look at the schedule.
um,
I don't know. I don't think we've been really following it. I think we just kind of have been going back and forth.
Okay.
Um,
So Lori would have been with you the last time you coached, right?
we didn't last time. I was the only one in the meeting, and we listened
Oh,
to a coaching session. Um,
okay. And then the time before that,
I have no idea.
yeah, that would have been when you were talking about
is,
rapport and trust.
isn't that when you just before you went on holiday, that day you left for holiday, and the brownies was in the oven? Was it that session?
Who coached that session?
I did.
I don't know. That was a long time ago.
Hang on, I can tell because I'll have the feedback form, so that's
Thank
what I'm
you.
looking for.
Um,
Let's see. Okay, so 9, or I'm sorry, that was 8:15. That was 8:13.
Mm.
Yeah, it looks like it looks like Rita coached last.
okay, then I should be coaching today.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, let's do that then.
All right. And
Um, oh yeah, I remember I was thinking I felt like I coached last time, but that was because I did that awful recording.
it was the one-on-one. It was not awful.
It was awful.
It's not
I didn't
awful.
want to send it in, but I did.
Um, it wasn't awful. It needed some work, but it wasn't awful.
It needed lots of work. Um, so are we
All right.
coaching right away? Are we doing it first?
No, I'm going to go over some competencies,
Oh, okay.
and then I'm actually going to go over I'll go over the competency and the markers, and then yeah, so I'll be looking at uh the first half markers, like 3 through 6 is what I'll be looking for in this session. And then the next one, when Rita does it in the next group, I'll look at 7 and 8, because those are the bigger ones. So, or I can do half, I guess. I'll just do 3, 4, and 5, and then we could do 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So I'll do 3 through 5, or for you, observing main points, and then 7 or 6 through 8 for Rita at the next group one. Just so we can get really clear on them before you go and do your finals. That sound good?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so let me pull up our I'm freezing. I don't know why. Um, uh, there it is. Oof. Okay. First though, any questions you guys have from the course so far?
I just want to ask, when must we? Okay, we've got a couple of catch-up things that I'll email you about, Cheryl. Apology and thank you for your patience. But like the EQ session, must we just? How do we book that feedback, or how do we get that?
Yeah, so that'll be um towards the end of the course, we'll do that.
Okay.
And
All right.
I'll give you a link to set that up.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
You mean based on the EQ test we did?
Yeah, you get a debrief session with that.
Okay.
So we get to go through the report and then, set any goals or, benchmarks that you want to create for that report.
Because on
Your
that
session goals.
report, I went through mine. I got mine yesterday. And on that report, at the back end, it has a development commitment and an action plan. Is that a part of our homework for this course?
No, that we'll just go over that in your in the debrief session, and you'll name a couple things and then you can build that out if you'd like, but you don't have to.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Not share my screen. Any other questions? No. Okay.
Well, where are you getting this from? How do we get that sheet?
This should be in the drive.
Oh, is it?
Hang on, let me see.
I didn't see that. What am I missing?
I have to mark these things down if they're not in there. So let's see. We go to
Files. And I think we need chapter 6 PDF to go in there as well. We're missing that one.
It's not under the lessons. Hang on.
I did not see it. I'll look again.
Part 3. So under the drive, that's ACC, NCC. I see the competencies updated, but not one called.
Right, let me take a look. Hold on.
Markers.
Oh, yeah. I just didn't notice it's the same. I think it's the one that, hold on, I might have it already printed in here.
The PCC markers or the chapter
No,
6?
neither, actually.
Well, you're right. Chapter 6 is not there. Let's do this. Hmm. All right. So okay, PCC markers, chapter 6. And then I'm just going to where's the screen? Did Zoom move the stop share screen? I have not been able to find it today. I don't know why. I give up. All right, no, maybe I can. They must have changed something. I can't even find the. Okay, here's the. All right, I'm gonna put these PCC markers in the chat. You need to download. And then chapter 6 as well, but I'll put that, both of these will go in the files as well, but I'm just gonna put them here for now.
Um,
is, all right, there's 6.
Go away, kitty cat.
Okay. I'm going to close my vent real quick because it's too cold. Great. All right, so let's look at the core competencies or the PCC markers, which has the core competencies in it. So we're going to start with 3, and basically, oh, this is just the markers. Okay, so I'm going to also open up the, let's see, the actual. It's just a marker. Hmm. Okay, well, we'll just open up the core competencies then. I don't know why, I'm sorry, I don't know why my computer is running so slow. It's just not doing anything actually. Okay, of course it's not a PDF. Okay. Let me see if it is a PDF, see if that works. It won't open. I don't know what's going on. I have a feeling I have to reboot, but um, well, I could go to the website. Let's just do it that way. All right. I'm just gonna do it this way. So I'm gonna read the competency and then the markers. Since this is just not working. Okay, so we're going to start with 3, establishes and maintains agreements. So the definition is partners with the client and relevant stakeholders to create clear agreements about the coaching relationship, process, plans, and goals, and establishes agreements for the overall coaching engagement as well as those for each coaching session. So explains what coaching is and is not and describes the process to the client and relevant stakeholders. So that's during your consult or your onboarding, usually consult, so that they know that they're getting coaching. Reaches an agreement about what is and is not appropriate in the relationship, what is and is not being offered, and the responsibilities of the client and relevant stakeholders. Most of this stuff also winds up being in their contract. So again, stuff that you discuss on your consult, especially if they're want to move forward. So making sure they know all the nuances of that and that it's also followed up with in your contracts. And then 3 is reaches agreement about the guidelines and specific parameters of the coaching relationship, such as logistics, fees, scheduling, duration, termination, confidentiality, and inclusion of others. Partners with the client and relevant stakeholders to establish an overall coaching plan and goals. It's a good idea to have a coaching plan. And this just means that you're helping them to determine what are the goals that they want to reach during your engagement. And then even kind of looking at, okay, let's break them down over the time frame that we have. So, if you're working with them for 6 months and they have, 3 main goals, then, maybe maybe you have some sub things that go with those goals and you're covering them in a month or 2 months or what have you. It doesn't mean that it's stringent and that you have to follow that throughout the whole coaching relationship. It just means that it's a plan. And hopefully, you guys can tweak it as you go along as well. But we talk about that in the course too. So partners with the client to determine client coach compatibility. Good idea to do in your consults. Partners with the client and relevant partners with the client to identify or reconfirm what they want to accomplish in the session. So this is now we're in the session part of it. Partners with them to help them define what they need to address or resolve to achieve what they want to accomplish in the session. Partners with the client to define or reconfirm measures of success for what they want to accomplish in the coaching engagement or individual session. Partners with the client to manage the time and focus of the session. Continues coaching in the direction of the client's desired outcome unless the client indicates otherwise, and then partners with the client to end the coaching relationship in a way that honors the experience. So that's the competency. And then if we look at the markers for your individual sessions, not your consults or your onboarding, this is every session moving forward from there. So partners with the client to identify or reconfirm what the client wants to accomplish in the session. Partners with the client to define or reconfirm measures of success for what the client wants to accomplish. Inquires about or explores what is important or meaningful to the client about what they want to accomplish. Partners with the client to define what the client believes they need to address to achieve what they want to accomplish. And then 4, cultivates trust and safety. Definition is partners with the client to create a safe, supportive environment that allows the client to share freely, maintains a relationship of mutual respect and trust. So seeks to understand the client within their context, which may include their identity, environment, experiences, values, and beliefs. Demonstrates respect for the client's identity, perceptions, style, and language, and adapts one's coaching to the client. Acknowledges and respects the client's unique talents, insights, and work in the coaching process. Shows support, empathy, and concern for the client. Acknowledges and supports the client's expressions of feelings, perceptions, concerns, beliefs, and suggestions, and then demonstrates openness and transparency as a way to display vulnerability and build trust within the client. So for markers, coach acknowledges and respects the client's unique talents, insights, and work in the coaching process. Coach shows support, empathy, or concern for the client. Coach acknowledges and supports the client's expressions of feelings, perceptions, concerns, and beliefs. Coach partners with the client to invite the client to respond in any way to the coach's contributions and accepts the client's response. And then 5, maintains presence, so is fully conscious and present with the client, employing a style that is open, flexible, grounded, and confident. So remains focused, observant, empathetic, and responsive to the client. Demonstrates curiosity during the coaching process. Manages one's emotions to stay present with the client. Demonstrates confidence in working with strong client emotions during the coaching process. Is comfortable working in a space of not knowing. Creates or allows space for silence, pause, or reflection. And then our markers. Coach acts in response to the whole person of the client, so the who. Coach acts in response to what the client wants to accomplish throughout this session, so the what. Coach partners with the client to support by supporting the client to choose what happens in the session. And coach demonstrates curiosity to learn more about the client. And then coach allows for silence, pause, or reflection. So we'll just look at those 3. In today's mentoring. Now, if I can just find the stop share, that would be wonderful. In Zoom. Oh, my screen. Oh, I see. They moved it up top to a little tiny thing on the top of your Zoom screen. It says my screen and it has an X just in case you guys run across this. And you press the X. Did I stop sharing? Okay, that's what it is. Now I gotta remember that for next time. Okay. So those are the 3 that are assessed, first 3 that are assessed. And you know that the first 2 are not assessed in your recording. So the first one being the ethics, which we went over in one of the classes. And the second one being a coaching mindset, which we already have our class on mindset as well. So these first three are assessed in your recordings, and the next three are assessed in your recordings. And if you look at your feedback sheet, the feedback sheet is basically all the markers, right? So we just went through the first three of them. And so that's what I'm looking for in your coaching sessions, your observe sessions during the course. It's also and during your mentoring. But it's also what we're going to look at for your final evaluation. So that final evaluation that you have, you need to score a 20 and pass at an ACC level. And we use those markers and then I convert the numbers. So you do get graded at an ACC level. So I'll know if you reach 20 points that's an ACC level. And then anything 21 and or above is a PCC level, and the total amount of points you can get on that is 28. And you'll see that one. I'll share with you in our third mentoring session, group mentoring. I'll share with you the formula, the one that has the scores on it, so you can see how that breaks down before you take your final. Questions about any of that? Okay. So the other thing that we were going to
Hold
do.
on. Sorry.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
have
Sorry.
a question. I was muted and I forgot I was muted. So so on the PCC markers here, under competency number 2, it says where it shows all these markers, and it says these particular behaviors are articulated and assessed through the following PCC markers. So are those all the ones that we have to make sure that we meet for each coaching session?
Yeah, so let me pull up the form so you can see it now, because it'll make it much clearer. There are some that you have to meet. So let's see, I need to go to oh, oh no, it's the transcript. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again. So at an ACC level, for instance, this is the scored sheet. At an ACC level, you have to at least not only do you have to reach the points, but in addition to having the points, those points have to be made up of these specific things. So in this case, you have to have marker 3.1, which, and I don't like to get too much into this because this could drive you crazy. So it's not really something that you need to know, but just to give you an idea, that you're asking the client, their topic and outcome. And then at least one out of 3.2, 3.3, or 3.4. So that's an ACC level. But this is for mentor coaches. This isn't really something that we usually pass on because, again, it can be confusing. That's why we use the model and we use the feedback forms, and you can see, and get our feedback from that. But it's okay just to get a view of it, like a glance at it, but it's not something I would say study. But again, for 4, you have to show 4.1 and 4.3 in order to pass, and then at least one of 4.2 and 4.4. And then for 5, you have to show 5.2 and you have to show 5.4, and then at least one out of the others, 5.1, 5.3, and 5.5. And then for 6, you have to show 2 points out of 6.1, 6.6, or 6.7, and then 1 point out of 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, or 6.5. So there are, quite a few of the required ones. And then 7 is 2 points out of 7.1 through 7.4, and 2 points out of 7.5 to 7.8. So you have to have at least 4 out of the 8. And then for the 8th one, you have to have 2 out of 8.1 through 8.4. You have to have 1 out of 8.5 through 8.7, and you have to have 8.9.
We did not get this sheet, did we?
No, you don't get this sheet. This is a mentor sheet. It's not something that we share until
Okay.
your final exam. So this is what we give. This is how we assess your final performance evaluation. Then you get this as your outcome.
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't get this, but the feedback that you get is based off of what we have as the requirements, and the points that we want you to see you get as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Because this would create stress, and that's not what we're trying to do. So we don't want you to say, oh, am I doing 3.2? Am I doing 3.1? No, you're learning the coaching process, and through your feedback, you know what you have to improve on, which
Okay.
should give you those pieces.
All right.
Okay. All right. And now back to the screen, my screen. All right. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, so we'll, if I'm feeling like we're going to have time, then we'll listen to another recording that you can see past using our framework. But let's go to our coaching session. And so, Christine, that's going to be you. And we're looking at, or I'm looking at mainly 3, 4, and 5. Of course, I'll give you overall feedback as well, but those are the 3 that I want to focus in on today. So let's,
Well,
so
I'm
let's
not focusing in on those.
No, you're focusing in on the whole process.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where my feedback will be concentrated on those 3. Okay.
Okay.
So you're going to have 30 minutes. It's just about 10 of, so you're going to go to 2:20.
Oh,
What?
yeah. Gotcha.
And then when you're done, we'll actually take a quick break, and then we'll do the feedback.
All right.
All right. So 2:20, and I'm going to go off camera. You
Hey,
have the floor.
thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, here we are, Rita. How are
Hi.
you today?
Today was a slow day. Yesterday was a better day. But in general, I'm definitely making good progress. Thanks.
Okay. How are you feeling right now?
It's calm and yeah.
Okay. So you're feeling ready for our session today?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Good, good. Glad to hear that. So I just want to remind you that this is a judgment-free zone. You're safe here. Your emotions are safe here. Okay. before we get started. I'm probably going to take some notes if you see me looking down and writing, but I'm still here with you. Just to make sure I meet our goals for today. So, what would be most helpful for us to explore today?
I would like to explore how to get back to work, coaching, the full force. Yeah, I definitely need to look at that, please.
I'm just going to turn my volume up here so I can hear you a little better. I just want to make sure I got you right there because it was a little bit quiet for me on my end. So if I understand, you want to get back to coaching like full time.
Yes, so, the background just, we quickly went on a holiday. My father-in-law passed away. We had a funeral. I'm in hospital. So I just want tonight to look at a plan, how to get back to all the responsibilities, kind of like preparing myself to go home and integrating myself into all the different roles and responsibilities.
All right. So you want to get back to working coaching full time, but you want a plan to get back to your responsibilities.
Yeah.
So are you saying you want to cover both of those things today?
So I think, Christine, for me, sorry if I'm being vague, I think we need to look at how to get back to all the responsibilities. So the responsibilities being coaching, working for my husband, working for the CF Association, studying, just kind of getting myself out of the space of being in hospital, and how to approach to get back to your life with all the different roles.
So back into the swing of things of what would be
Mm,
your normal routine?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. What makes you think, if possible, that you may not just naturally do that?
I wondered if I should have a more concrete plan, because yesterday was a good day and I think I just overdid it. So, I think there is certain way that I might need to approach this a little bit more with better thought, to make sure that I don't kind of rush into things without a proper plan and then burn down the house in the first day.
Okay. Has that happened before with you?
Oh, all the time.
Okay, that makes more sense. All right. How do you think making this type of plan is going to impact your outcome specifically?
I feel I'm going to be more consistent in going back into the responsibilities, because I'm planning it better so that we can really work on preventing that crash of just exhaustion, physical, mental exhaustion.
How would you say boundaries come into play here, if at all?
Yes, I think that is exactly the right word of assessing the boundaries and also using the boundaries. It doesn't help you, have a boundary, but you keep crossing the line,
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what's very specifically do you want to walk away with at the end of this session?
Boundaries.
Boundaries. Um, and when we talk about boundaries, what does that look like?
One thing that I've realized is if you say yes to everything, you actually, I don't know how to express this in English perfectly, but you're kind of inviting the yes to failure as well. You have to know what you stand for, to know what the direction is that you're heading into.
Tell me more about that and how it relates to what we're talking about today.
So I think going back, I'd have to be brave enough to admit that I can't do a 12-hour day, which means there are some things that I will have to plan to do tomorrow or the day after that. When working in the CF community, I think it's okay if I make my peace with certain areas if it's an area that I cannot help with. Instead of trying always to come up with the solutions, I should actually invite the patients or the parents more to look at their own solutions as well. For the family, also to be okay with their journey and what they're doing and how they're approaching it, especially the children. I mean, I get very worried in exam time. um, and also keep that boundary of this is really your life and how you approach your exam. Um, it's okay, So I think there's also a boundary needed. Um, Something that's coming up for me is I'm a people pleaser, big time. I hate saying no. I hate saying I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, and what feeling comes up for you when you say no?
I'm letting somebody down. Um, I think it depends on who is asking the question. If it's my husband, I feel I'm abandoning him as a bad wife. Um, the children, I have the feeling that I actually have a different feeling with the children. I feel with the children, I'm giving them permission to figure it out for themselves, which is a positive feeling. Also, in the same sense, I have the feeling that um, I'm modeling to them that we do need to say no in a respectful way. For the cystic fibrosis community, I get nervous when I say no because very, very often I'm the desperate phone call people will phone. And that's almost the most difficult one. Because how far can I go? How far is my circle of influence? How much can I do? So I think with the safe communities, it's a little bit more difficult for me because I know how desperate you feel if you don't have any other avenue. And you just think, let me phone Rita. Let me just hear if Rita has a solution or if she can help me. But somebody has challenged me in a way of saying, but are you sure this should be on your table? And that sparked the question of boundaries for the CF community as well.
When you think of boundaries in your life, what is the purpose of those boundaries?
Coming up for me tonight that I've never thought of before is self-preservation and direction and definition.
And with that boundaries and self-preservation, how is it that, maybe I'm not saying this well. Let me rephrase that. I've heard you mention that with the cystic fibrosis, they really need you, so it's hard to say no. Your husband maybe needs you, and that's hard to say no. And so you seem to equate their level of need with backing off your boundaries and self-preservation is what I'm seeing. How accurate would that be?
I never saw this before. Wow, that is very enlightening. Yes, I do think this is a new layer. Oh, I can't build the boundary on the level of need of the person or the other person. Mm.
when you do that, how does that impact your ability or inability to maintain your boundary or set a boundary?
It feels to me tonight that I realize there's many pieces of the pie. So when I allow this piece of the pie to be too big, I'm actually taking away of somebody else's pie. And I cannot build a bigger pie. I'm only reader. You only have that much. You can't. We'd like to clone ourselves, I think sometimes, but technology is not that far yet. So, sure, that's a big realization for me tonight to realize that if I'm not going to maintain the boundary and somebody takes too much, I'm actually taking away from someone or somebody else, which just as much deserving of having a piece of their mom or having a piece of their wife, having a piece of their coach, you know. Sure. Yeah.
You know, I noticed that you are so thoughtful of the um, manner in which you allow your children to grow. It is so commendable as a parent. And
Okay.
yeah, and how can you possibly extend that gift to other people?
Yo, yo, Christine, you know what's coming up? Um, I have this incredible deep know that my children are going to be okay. I cannot explain why. I cannot, but I have this trust in them that they are going to be okay. And I think that is what I lack. Even if a person phones me from the CF community, I must instill the perfect trust that they have the ability to be okay and they have the ability to figure this out. I'm a partner in this. I'm not the solution, the only solution. I mean, I only have a small role to play in the community. Um,
How can you manage to be mindful of that thought process you just had moving forward?
I think I started to scratch the surface couple of weeks ago because I wrote a piece on trust the timing of my life. And as life would be, we had a major crisis that has not been resolved yet with a 4-year-old boy. But I was brave enough to send that written piece to the mum. And I said to her, I'll make small contact moments with you, but for now I'm in a bit of a family. Well, first of all, it was a holiday, and I said to her, "It's 5 days. I really need to just go connect so that I can go back." Which was the first time that I actually communicated to somebody my intention of going on holiday, putting down my phone, and just not being available. And then when I got back and all the other layered happenings, I did check in with her and I said to her, I'm so sorry, things are unraveling a bit on my part, but I wrote this and I feel I would like to send this to you and to say, I know you feel alone, I know you're worried, but for some other reason you are here right now and you need to figure out how to trust this timing in your life and in your child's life. By sending that piece, I almost felt that I'm communicating something of readers not the answer to everything. Be brave enough to look at yourself for the answer. And when reader gets back, we have two full functioning brains and humans that can reassess, where they are at. But it's almost like that is what when the surface something came up for me, and that's why I thought of talking about this tonight. So I think in coming back to your question, how can I think I should instill that more, and I think I should ask the question more pertinently every time I speak to somebody. So what can you do? What is your next step you are taking? Today I invited a mom to phone the doctor and say, we need this, we need this, we need this. For a change, I didn't do the phone call. I said to her, that is what I need. If you've got this email, then we can contact the pharmaceuticals and say, this is the case, and we can present the case. But I think I'm scratching the surface, Christine, of getting there, of saying to the people, this is what I need, and this is your responsibility to bring it to me. My responsibility is to take everything that you've given me and relay it to different areas where I think in the past I would feel very obligated to actually do all the work myself.
So even before this session, you are recognizing where you're overextended and you're already setting some boundaries on your own.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
That's amazing. No, it is. I mean, you come to the session with this, but that's really amazing. Now you've just talked about your work. In your home, what ways do you feel that you need to protect yourself and your time a little more?
I think one thing that I will chat to Rudy with a little bit more in depth is to say that I need more help with cystic fibrosis. If he can maybe get the nebulizer while I'm cleaning the kitchen, we kind of in the same time done with everything. I really need him to help me again with doing physiotherapy, which is only 6 minutes of his time. So I feel that could be definitely one of the first strategies I will have to do so that I have help to manage CF better. I think that would necessarily already give me more energy. Because one of the biggest reasons why I got married, I'm not an individual, or I don't know how to say this, but I'm a team player. I hate working on my own. I hate it. So I think the energy I will get from us doing CF together would give me more emotional energy for my daily tasks. I think that is one of the biggest tasks I will have to ask him to commit to. Secondly, I feel what do I feel? Secondly, I feel that time management is also going to be more important so that I'm busy, but there are definite times that's family time. We eat together, we maybe start in the mornings early while I'm doing my nap, etc. Rudy and I can have a coffee together. Kind of schedule a little bit time out with each other more consciously. And then make my peace with, not make my peace, but be okay with the fact that the children come home on a Friday after boarding school and not feel guilty if I then want to be with them, spend time with them on a Friday afternoon, even if it means they go to bed and sleep and me doing their washing. I shouldn't feel so guilty by just being full-time mom on a Friday afternoon. Yeah, I think that is a very important boundary I will have to protect as well.
Okay. So I hear you brought up several things here. Help that you would want to have with your husband, some areas regarding your children, regarding at the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. I think that's what it is with some people there. So you brought up quite a few things for an action plan. When do you want to implement these ideas?
So the doctor said to me today that I was hoping to go home today. It's not there. And then she said to me, no, I have been a little bit worse off than we thought I was, which was a shock to me. I didn't think I was that ill. I can only go home by Friday. So I think I could journey with our conversation and structure and routine for the remainder of this week. And then definitely when I go home over the weekend, you know, maybe make a good Sunday lunch for all of us and just maybe chat a little bit about with the family, what happened this 2 weeks and what it means to me, and invite them to see if there's something that comes up for them so that I can start implementing on Monday when I go back
Mm-hmm.
to the office. But I want to backtrack a little bit because I am working from hospital. I've decided this week, I've again just contacted my coaching clients and said to them, I'm still in hospital. We usually, the second week, I feel much stronger. Usually by the second week, I can start work. I just decided I need to be a better version of who I am at the moment to go back to the clients. So I just rescheduled them all or just pushed them another week back. But I think this week is a great week to start with the cystic fibrosis boundary for the community.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be hard because they've noticed that I'm quiet. If just like, Rita, where are you? What's happening? I'm like, I'm just in Mall Park. Oh my God, ew. Guys, calm down. I'll be back in a week's time. Go away. Yeah, so I think this week I can journey with the community and boundaries with them.
All right. So our session's about up here, but I just wanted to quickly before we end touch on if there are any obstacles that you think might get in the way of your success.
Only obstacle I can think is I don't, if I back down on my own boundaries. That's it. I'm going to be my own obstacle here. So I will have to love myself and be very strict with myself and work on this diligently.
Okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're doing what you just said and being diligent, how successful do you think you would be?
I think I think I'll reach an 8.
Okay. Are you comfortable with that number?
Yeah, it's a number that I need. So it's a number that I want.
All right. And who can support you in what you're doing?
My co-worker Kim is amazing. But I really feel if I have a chat to Kim as well to say to her, I can move a couple of things around responsibly. For the CF community and work on an action plan. She's amazing. She has CF as well, so we get it. We get it.
Okay. All right. Well, when we started the session, you initially wanted to talk about getting back to work coaching in full force. and a plan to get back to responsibilities, but it kind of morphed into being able to set better boundaries for yourself in different areas of your life. And you ended up wanting to help with that. Um, how much progress do you think you have made towards the goal of this session?
I think this session really opened up a whole new layer of thinking about boundaries and respecting everybody's piece of its pie.
Okay.
I think a lot.
All right. Do you have any feedback about our session today?
Thank you for the clever questions, insightful questions. Yeah.
Where could improvement have happened? Sorry, I didn't realize you were still speaking. Go ahead.
No, I enjoy your level-headedness. Always looking very holistic at the situations and bringing in the not so obvious things that I don't see. So I really enjoy our sessions.
Okay. And just lastly, and thank you for that, by the way. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And yeah, just lastly, anywhere that could be improvement. That's really important for me to know.
No, nothing I can think of. I'll apply my
Well,
mind.
if you think of something, make sure to let me know.
Okay.
Okay. Well, with that, I'm going to close the session, and I look forward to seeing you next time and hearing about your success.
Thank you, Kristen. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thank you both. And Christine, you do not look happy. But we're going to take a break
Okay.
because I have to eat now because my sugar is dropping. So we're going to take 15 minutes. It's 2:25. We will come back at 2:40. All right. Thanks.
All right.
1 second. Let me get my check it. Wow. Cold in here. Mm. Mm. All right. I have goosebumps. That's how cold I am. Oh, it's out. All right. So, Christine, how do you feel the session went?
Oh, I'm just ridiculous with myself is all, and I know it. I consistently work on perfectionism. It's something that I have to be very mindful of, that I expect perfectionism of myself. And if I'm anything less, then I'm unhappy with what I've done. And I have to remind myself of progress instead of perfectionism. So I am making progress and I am happy with that.
Okay. So, what do you feel you did well? If you look at the first 3 competencies.
Oh, um, hold on. I have to get a competency sheet here. Where are my competence? Okay. So the first 3 competencies, as in like 1 to 3.
Oh, sorry. No, 3, 4,
No.
and 5.
Oh, 3, 4, and 5. I
Yep.
think I maintain the established and maintained an agreement. I think supports the client's expression of feelings and perceptions. I think I did 4.3, 4.4. Let's do it that way. 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 5.1, 5.4, and maybe 5.5.
Okay.
Get away from me.
All right. So I'm going to share my screen as we go through the.
So you can
You got-
burst my bubble.
No. So
Go
you can
away.
improve.
You cannot have me right now.
Okay. So. Okay.
It's all empty.
It's all empty. I have a ton of notes and I just copy and the way I do it is I copy and paste it as we go through. The other ones might do it differently, but that's fine. So focus and outcome. Coach partners with the client to identify or reconfirm what the client wants to accomplish in the session. So your first part of that was asking what would be most helpful for us to explore. We're going to put yes there. Measures of success. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Coach partners with the client to define or reconfirm measures of success for what the client wants to accomplish in the session. Now this took you a little bit to get to, but you did ask, what specifically do you want to walk away with? But first you went through, well, you recapped what she said when you asked what she would like to explore. And then you asked, what makes you think you may not naturally do that? Which is an interesting question. And actually, I'm curious as to why you asked that, or why you think you asked it.
What was it in regarding?
To her having getting back to the responsibilities and the outcome.
Oh, I was just
You were asking-
wondering. I was just wondering if maybe she already does that and she just isn't recognizing it.
Okay. And then you asked her, has that happened before?
Which was closed-ended.
Yep.
The second
really,
I said it, I knew it.
Yeah, but even more important than that, I mean, that's you didn't have many closed-ended questions at all, so that was good. But you basically, while that information could be helpful maybe later on after you've done some exploring, it wasn't, and then it actually wound up probably not being relevant as you kind of look at the direction that the call went in. So you want to save those type of questions to see if they are needed, because the problem here is that it creates storytelling in the beginning of the session, right? So now your client goes, oh yeah, that happened before, and it, A, B, C, D, E, and then they start describing it all, right? Is it relevant to that coaching agreement yet? We don't know because we don't have the whole coaching agreement yet. So hold off on those type of questions, close-ended or not. For history, right? History, we only bring in history when we know it's going to be relevant at that point. And then you asked her, how do you think making this type of plan will impact your outcome? Which is a good question. Now, the thing is though, we never really got specific about whether it was going to be a plan. Like Rita didn't say she wanted a plan. She said, I wanted to explore, or I think explore was the word she used. So just keep that in mind for a second. But, and then you came with, how would you say boundaries come into play, if at all? So again, these are good questions, but we don't even have an outcome yet. And you're doing a lot of the exploring, right? Now, sometimes we have to explore topic if it's not a specific topic. I think you had a specific topic here. And sometimes we have to explore outcomes when you don't have a specific outcome, but you haven't asked that question yet. So then after those questions that I just said, that's when you said, what specifically do you want to walk away with? So I think for me, observing it, I would have said, okay, in the beginning, you asked the question, what would be most helpful for us to explore? She talks about how to get back to all the responsibilities. And then I would have said, okay, maybe I would have asked that. Well, what does that all entail? Those responsibilities, because that's very directly related to her answer, right? So what are those responsibilities that you want to make sure you get back to? And then, okay, so what specifically is going to help you to get back to those responsibilities? And kind of defer those other questions till you have that final outcome that she wants. Now, because you asked about the boundaries, how would you, she wound up saying boundaries after you asked that. What specifically do you want? So you actually influenced the outcome. by asking that boundary question before you ask for an outcome. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because then she said, well, boundaries, right? So, which it could have wound up being anyway, but you don't know because you've already influenced that outcome now. And so we want to hold back, from doing that. We want to allow the clients full direction. So now you have, okay, a topic of, getting back to those responsibilities and having boundaries in place is kind of the outcome. So again, not exactly clear, because is it a plan, or does she want to have like 2 boundaries in place, 5 boundaries in place? Does she want to have boundaries in place around her time, boundaries in place around the activities that she does, boundaries around who she does things for, right? So now we have a really broad topic or broad outcome of boundaries. And so you can avoid all that by getting the topic. If you have to ask a qualifying question, that's fine. Ask a qualifying question and then get an outcome, and then explore that outcome and get more specific to it. Okay, so boundaries. Perfect. What specific boundaries are you looking for, or what area do you want those boundaries to be around? And if she doesn't, if she's not picking up on what that could potentially be, you could say something like, well, are you looking at personal time boundaries? Are you looking at activity wise? Like, what is the boundary and what is the purpose of the boundary? In this case, it was, I think, for her health. So then that gives you even more opportunity to ask more specific questions. Now, why do I spend all this time up here on this agreement? Because it makes the rest of your conversation go extremely easily and fast. It helps the client to really be focused, because you're exploring the agreement, but after you have their initial answers, now you have something to explore, right? To help the client dig down a little bit more and get more specific. So now, ultimately though, you did ask those questions, topic and what you wanted to walk away from. And then there wasn't a question about the importance or meaning after that coaching agreement. Now, before you got the outcome, you did ask, what makes you think, no, what did you ask? How do you think making this type of plan will impact your outcome? That's sort of an importance meaning type question, but you didn't have the full agreement before you asked that question. So basically you were asking that on the topic and not actually on the agreement, if that makes sense. So my thing here is going to be somewhat,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll say yes to that. And then once you had that agreement of, topic and the boundaries that you wanted, again, not really have a specific plan or a specific outcome, but ask what needs to be addressed. Now, the one question you did say is, again, this is a somewhat, when we talk about boundaries, what specifically does that look like? So it could be a type of, what do we want to talk about? But be clear and straightforward and just saying, okay, when you think about the boundaries that you want to come away with by the end of the session, what's important for us to address? Or even saying, okay, I hear you saying boundaries. What's important about those boundaries that we address in our conversation today? So again, the client determines what is needed on that topic or outcome. Preferably both.
I'm confused.
Go ahead.
I'm confused how that differs from the question of when we talk about boundaries, what specifically does that look like?
Because you're asking her what the boundaries look like, but you're not asking her what she feels needs to be addressed about the boundaries. So I mean, it's a distinction. Okay, you want boundaries. What would those boundaries look like? Is one type of question, envisioning the boundaries. But what we're saying needs to address is helping them to define what they believe is the importance or the focus of that outcome of the boundaries. So just saying something like, and so instead of saying what specifically does it look like, say what do you feel like we have to address in order to have those boundaries by the end of the conversation, or what do you feel is most important? Do you know what I mean? Like it's pulling
Yes.
out that other piece of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I would really, the first thing I'm going to tell you before we go over anything else is that this is where I want you to focus. Topic, what do you want to talk about? Outcome, what do you want to have specifically in hand by the end of the session? Why is that important for you to have that? Or what's going to change for you if you have that? Either of those questions address the importance or meaning, or what would it mean for you to have that in hand by the end of the session? Something like that. And then what do you feel is important for us to address in order for you to get to that outcome? Of course, your words and depending on the conversation, but those are the 4 questions I want you to focus in on, because when you have those really clear, the rest of your conversation is going to go so smooth. Okay, so acknowledges talents, insights, and work. You did that throughout. I don't know if I copied down. Let's see. Well, I have one right here. But you did that throughout. Support, empathy, and concern. I mean, these are supportive as well as acknowledgement. So we'll put that as there as a empathy and concern, but also keep in mind of your emotional intelligence language, right? About feelings and the emotions that you have and your clients have. And really just saying things like I understand, or I can understand that, or something like that that shows that connection to you being able to put yourself in their shoes. So I'd like to see the empathy amp up, and that's because this is an emotional intelligence class, we want to see these high. Does that make sense? We want to see those really high for your emotional intelligence. And then I don't think there was too many opportunity to acknowledge expressions. And then invites to respond and accepts. You definitely did that with, where is it? Where is it? Oh, here it goes. So you reflected back. Yeah, I didn't write the whole thing, but then you said that you need to equate backing off your boundaries. How accurate would that be? So you're giving what you feel it is, and you're asking the client to respond, and whether or not they accept it, that's up to them, right? And she agreed with you, but that's demonstrates that competency. And then coaching the person, so that's looking at the who, which you did throughout for the most part. what I do like is this one. So when you do that, how does that impact your ability or inability to set a boundary? So that's making her kind of look at it in herself, right? And take stock of that. You did coach towards the boundaries. Again, we didn't have anything specific like, oh, we're going to have 3 boundaries, or we're going to have, boundaries around my time, or we're going to have boundaries around what we do with family or whatever. Like that, you bounced around a little bit of all those areas. So it wasn't real specific. So this is going to be a somewhat as well, because we want a really clear agenda. And then this way we can see, yes, definitely coached around that specific agenda. And then some things, let's see, that you asked. In work, what ways you feel you need to protect yourself? So curious about how the client will respond. And then question that you asked was, how can, this is going to go under. You mentioned that she had a gift with her children. And then asked, there it is. How can you extend that gift to other people? I put why there. So I'm curious, just for you to think, you don't have to tell me now, but like what prompted you to ask how she can extend that gift to other people beyond the kids? For me, as observing, I felt like there was a special way that she was dealing with the kids, and that other people would not necessarily fall under that same thing, that same gift. So, and that might be something you could explore as well. Like, instead of saying, how can you extend that gift to other people? You could say something like, is that a gift? And this would be close-ended, but that's okay. Is that a gift that you want to extend to other people? Or you can say, would you like to explore how we can extend that gift to other people? Because it is a little directive by saying, you're assuming that she wants to extend that gift to other people. And so you're asking, okay, how do we do that? So I'll put a little directive as well on there. Oh. Or leading, I'll put leading. Does that make sense? By you're kind of introducing that, extending that gift versus asking her?
Yes, and I've noticed that this time around, I'm gonna have to take note, because I've felt it and noticed it multiple times, but I'm gonna have to mark it down so that I can bring it up to you. I feel often like I'm struggling not to lead, which I've never felt before.
I actually did.
And,
I felt that too.
yeah, and I don't know why that's coming up for me now, where I don't feel like it ever has before in my coaching. So there's something going on there that I need to explore.
Okay. So definitely something to make sure. I would definitely point that out to Lori and Holly as well when they're observing your session, so that they can keep it in the back of their head while they're observing. But that'll be something we'll look at for your next recording too.
Yeah, I didn't feel it in my very first time, but I have felt it consistently since.
Okay. Yeah, we'll kind of see what we can, how can we see that maybe how that's coming up or why it's coming up.
Okay, thank you.
You explored her emotions, and I don't think there was too much energy shift in there. And then Oh, and then you didn't interrupt. I would say you used custom language. I don't think there was too much words to explore, but we'll give you the somewhat there. And then, yeah, you were giving good summaries as well. Okay. So those are the three I was concentrating on, but I'll just kind of go over some of these other ones as well. You did ask, for the most part, most open-ended questions. You had a couple close-ended, but not anything that I would say is a problem. And then, yes, I think the client talked more. Now, the concise language, I think that, well, I think you even felt it because you asked her to reframe. I think sometimes your brain is like your brain is going quick and you're trying to catch up with it with saying it and gets a little confused. So you just want to slow down. That would be my thing here, is just slow down. And that means you can take that, 10, 15 seconds before you say anything. And I think we talked about that on your recording as well. Take the 10 or 15 seconds to collect yourself, allow the client some more time in case they want to add on something. But it really does help you to decide whether or not, or decide what your next question is going to be, or what you're going to say. So definitely do that. And then shares and explores, I think that same example is a good one. Current way of thinking. These two we might have to work on a little bit, but let's go to 8. So exploring progress. Yeah, so you want to just, something like, personally, I would halfway through the session say, we're working in this session, we're working towards, the yada yada outcome. How do you feel we're doing so far? Right. So you're checking in with them, making sure that you're, that kind of question can tell you if you're on the right track, the client's happy with the direction the call's going in, and also how successful they feel they are so far. Because if you're halfway through the session and they go, I don't feel like we're really making much progress, then that's a problem, right? And you need to adjust at that point. So that's a good, for exploring progress, halfway is a good measurement, a good measurement mark. And then, of course, towards the end, before you get into accountability and obstacles, is saying, okay, where are we now towards that goal that you wanted? And then go into obstacles and accountability. Because if they're not where they want to be, then you have some more time to ask some more questions to get them back on track, or get them towards the outcome that they want. And if they say they're fine, then that you can just go right into the accountability and the obstacles and the accountability. So, make sure that you're exploring progress. Yeah, the new learnings didn't really go into, did the post-session activities, covered obstacles, and covered accountability. And then you celebrated. Now the partners to close, this is one of the ones that is a requirement, right? and we're partnering with the client on how they want to close the session.
Oh,
So just
yes.
right. And we talked about that on your recording. The easiest thing to do is to say, how would you like to close the session?
Oh, why do I have we've talked about this before. I
Yeah.
don't get why it is, to me, just the most ridiculous thing asking them how they
That's
want to
right.
close the
You
session.
said
I
that to me
just
before.
don't get that barrier and why I have it. But I'm going to get rid of it right now.
All right. So we're going to go to Rita in a second, but tell me, Christine, how you feel with that feedback.
I feel it's very accurate and helpful, but just
Awesome.
hold on.
Yep.
Okay. I won't be forgetting that again in the future. Yeah, and I think a lot of this right now has to do with practicing again and coaching more often. I don't feel like I'm coaching enough right now to gain the practice I need to propel myself forward with the competencies.
Yeah. Yeah, I think practicing is a good thing. I think that would be something to do.
And I think I
And
need to
then
do it with people who are not coaches.
yeah.
Because Rita, you make it too easy for me.
Yeah, definitely, coaching coaches, you don't get really to flex your muscles too much, right? So
No.
non-coaches are better in that area. So you're I mean you still need to do your peer coaching, but I think you should be coaching other people as well.
Which is something I'm working on right now.
Good.
We were talking about that group that I'm in to see if I can coach women in there, and I connected with her and she said that sounds great.
Awesome. Yeah,
So
people
yeah,
don't really turn that down.
admin approved it, and it's a group of 25,000 women.
Nice. All
So
right.
we'll chat about that in our one-to-one.
Yep. Okay, so I want to go to Rita. Rita, anything that stood out for you as pivotal, in a positive way?
Cheryl, I disagree a little bit with you. Just scroll up in A. Let's see. Christine did ask me at some point, what progress are we making? Because I immediately felt to sit back and just feel where are we going with this, and am I making progress? So I disagree a little bit on that one. Can't remember exactly where where in the session.
Well, she did ask one time, when you do that, how does that impact your ability or inability to set a boundary? And you had said something about that question. So I don't know if was the area, maybe. But anyway, go ahead.
I think that for me, I have to say, there was a lot of new learning for me. And I wonder if the pressure we feel to make progress, which might lead us into the need to start leading, because we are so desperate to get the client to make progress. And I realized tonight I might be a very difficult client. So I apologize, Christine, deeply.
I don't think you were a difficult client.
No.
Thank you. Um, so I can appreciate also, that need to make progress and to have outcomes and to travel with your client in a good session. So my question would be, and thank you so much for, helping us through this, Cheryl. My question would be, if we notice that it's something like boundaries, and as you say, a large topic, is it okay if you then invite your clients and kind of say, this could be potentially a very loaded topic? Would it be helpful that we break it down and maybe explore it over a couple of sessions to kind of also just air the fact that maybe it'll be conducive, or would that be too leading?
No. So when we're trying to, this goes back to the coaching agreement.
Yeah.
Like when you're trying to narrow down an outcome, you can do it the way you just said. Or you can do it
Okay.
how I said it. It doesn't matter. It's just, it's preference. But you do want to help them to get very specific, and you can say something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very helpful.
Okay. And so what stood out for you as a potential area for improvement being on the coaching end side?
Honestly, I felt um, very supported, and I really felt that she's patient with me, because even I felt a bit, maybe that's why you felt the pressure to lead, because at some point I was starting to think to myself, Rita, really, can we just get an agenda here? Can we just sort this out and just make progress? But I really felt supported, and I really felt she was patient with me. So going through your feedback, I can see potentially exactly what you're saying, but I just want to say, as a client tonight, I felt I made a lot of progress, and I've addressed 3 very large areas in my life, and I feel encouraged to actually go back. I don't feel so overwhelmed by it, so I feel encouraged to go back and say, okay, I can fine tune this on my own as well, So, yeah, but I hear what you say with your feedback. That was interesting. But thank you, Christine.
Okay. All right, perfect. Let's see, today is the 17th. All right. And I'm going to stop sharing. I can remember how I did that. What did I do? I went to show full screen, and then stop. There we go. Okay. So for Thursday, you are going to, I need to make sure I update this with the changes that we just did. So we just did the mentoring 2. We made that up today, which is the 17th. Yeah, so the 19th is active listening and reflection. That's your next chapter. And Holly will be with you on Thursday and for the next few classes until our next one-on-one mentoring week, which is the week of October 1st. So your second recordings, well, Rita, it'll be, we need to get your first in sometime in this week or next week. So that you have feedback to do your second one.
Cool.
But October 1 is supposed to be the week for the second one-on-one mentoring, so your second recordings.
So our second recordings are due. I just want
The
to make
20
sure I get that right so I don't screw that up.
It's due on the 24th.
Okay.
Which is next, actually, that's next Monday. Let's just say it's due by, let's do it by Friday, the 20, what is Friday's date? Next Friday is, we'll say it's due by the 27th, and then we'll just schedule on Thursday, the 3rd. So it gives me, those three business days to go over it. So we'll do it that way. Second recording's due by the 27th.
Okay.
Cheryl, I was thinking let's use the first recording because of my, I wanted to actually use the session that Holly was with us when I coached Christine, and then Christine had a chat to you and you said, no, we can't use class recording, so apologies. So let's use the first recording as you have it, and then I'll just work on the second recording.
Okay, so wait, what do I have for the first one? My mind just went blank.
So I sent you that recording with the manuscript on form SMART. I don't know if you...
Oh, okay. Oh, let me look for that. Okay. I might have put it aside because you were sending another one, so but I'll look for it.
Okay.
Okay. I'll let you know. Or if you just want to resend it, that would be great. And then this way we can just set an appointment for next week. You
Yeah.
can just use, if you have the ICF mentoring link, you can just set that appointment up for next week.
Okay. Let's see something. I'll find that link, the ICF mentoring link again.
It's just ICF, it's successfulcoaches.com backslash ICF dash mentoring.
Ah, there we go. Okay.
Okay.
Just do that again. Okay. Let's schedule
All
that.
right. And then, so this extended our course by to Thursday, the 19th, instead of ending on the 17th, just so you guys know. So, because we have that one
Sure.
class that we basically skipped. So just added that Thursday.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Any questions about any of that?
No.
No.
All right. Okay. Great. Well, if you do need anything, just let me know. Otherwise,
I do have a
Holly will,
question.
yep.
So regarding that EQ exam, I was going through, well, the quiz, I was going through mine last night, and my husband had a very good question. And I was probably going to ask it anyways. So, I mean, I see all my results, right? And can I just take it at another point in time with you so that I can measure if my EQ has increased?
Yes, you can. but
We
you have
only
to
do
pay
it
for
once.
it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we only do it once in this course, right?
Yes, because I pay for everyone that gets taken, and I don't, it's not like I get a discount. We buy,
Really?
like we buy, yeah, we have to buy a certain number. I mean, I guess it's a discount for, I guess it's a, what they consider a discount, but because they don't do it directly to people, right? It has to go through a practitioner. So, but it's, you know, whatever that, I think it's either $90 or $100 or whatever that is what I pay. So I
Okay.
just pass that on to the clients.
All right.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, we can, you know, we can do them anytime.
And how long do we have? So basically, if you're passing on your discount to your clients, how long do we have to utilize that discount?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you want to do it, I will do it. The only time what I do is I use it in my packages. So, you know, I make it up there.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
guys,
Paul.
you're welcome. Rena, I hope you get home soon. And you're all better, and have a wonderful rest of your week, guys. And Holly will see you back here on Thursday.
And what are we doing
Thank
on
you.
Thursday again? Sorry.
Oh, Thursday is chapter 9, active listening and reflection.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.